I call Catherine Delahunty.
Tēnā koe, Mr Speaker, tēnā koutou te whare. Mr Speaker, I'd like to thank the Minister first for her consultation with the Green Party prior to the introduction of this bill and advise the House that the Green Party will be supporting it in all its stages.
Very good.
It is pleasing to see the government's commitment to rectifying two long-standing anomalies with regard to New Zealand superannuation and veterans' pension. The first of these is the living alone payment payable to New Zealand superannuation and veterans pensioners who live on their own, or in some cases, no one other than a child who is still dependent, is technically a separate benefit from New Zealand superannuation or living alone payment itself. That didn't make a lot of sense to me, but I think it does make sense in the long run. This has meant that there have to be... I would sing it because I've got a fabulous voice, but I just think that I would make everyone else feel a little bit weak if I sang it. I'll sing when I've finished. However, the Green Party agrees that this is an unnecessarily bureaucratic... Here am I supporting the bill and now everybody's giving me a hard time. This is so unusual. The Green Party agrees that this is an unnecessarily bureaucratic state of affairs. So surprising with work and income. It has resulted in a small number of people entitled to the living alone payment, missing out on receiving it when, for example, their partner has died and they are transferred to the single rate of New Zealand super because no one in work and income has told them they also need to apply for the living alone payment. Now, as a former beneficiary advocate, this was the norm. Unfortunately, WINS did not often tell people what they were entitled to, and hence the need for clarity. The other anomaly this bill corrects is that under which the children of New Zealand superannuitants and veterans pensioners cease to be classified as dependent when they reach the age of 18, whereas children of working age beneficiaries continue to be classified as dependent until the end of the year in which they turn 18, as long as they are still undertaking study. The bill will apply the same more generous definition of dependent child to New Zealand superannuitants and veteran pensioners as currently applies to working age beneficiaries. The Green Party welcomes both these changes as they correct anomalies that, although they affect only a small number of people, do impact on these people quite severely. It is pleasing to see this government's continuing commitment to fairness and social justice for those eligible for state social assistance as a result of their age or incapacity due to military service, and military service only in many cases. However, Mr Speaker, the government's approach with this bill is a stark contrast to the treatment of working age beneficiaries. Those incapacitated for employment for reasons other than military service. Those whose ability to participate in the paid workforce is restricted because of their childcare responsibilities, and those who want to work but cannot find a job because our economy doesn't provide enough jobs to go around. The government's recently enacted future focus legislation, or as I like to call it, future unfocused legislation, introduces rather than removes anomalies from the benefit system. It increases the likelihood of people falling through the cracks in our welfare state, of people being wrongly assessed as having a capacity for work when they clearly do not, and losing part or all of their benefit entitlement under the sanctions regime it has introduced. Further down the order paper, there are more bills like this one which purport to rectify anomalies. But because some of these bills deal with ACC, they take an exactly opposite approach to this one. This one, I know Hone wants to go home. I want to go home too, but I have a passion for social justice, Hone. It addresses legislative anomalies by taking a fair and generous approach in this bill, which is a contradiction with many approaches to many other bills, such as the ACC legislation, and what has been done to students in recent legislation, which is very worse. Mr Speaker, I have had the opportunity to read the Government's Welfare Working Group report and its options paper. Interestingly, bigger picture issues relating to New Zealand super were outside the terms of reference for the Welfare Working Group. One of the most significant issues of our time is outside their terms of reference. That, I guess, reflects the Government's commitment to treating that group of New Zealanders fairly and with compassion. But the Welfare Working Group launches into a wholesale attack on working age beneficiaries. It sets out 4 options for strong signals to discourage semi-permanent use of the benefit system. I have to talk about this because somebody has to talk about it. It's really, really important that somebody cares about the vulnerable in society. And I know that Hone agrees with me when I say that we have major problems with the benefit system. And I'm afraid I'm just going to carry on until there is a recognition of the problems that the benefit system has created.
Order. I'm one person who does want to hear what the member is saying. So can we just quieten it down slightly so I can hear Catherine Delahunty, please?
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I'm now inspired to talk a whole lot longer. There are increasing conditions with benefit duration, including work for the dole regimes for longer-term beneficiaries, strict income management for long-term beneficiaries, benefit step-downs, under which components of the benefit are removed when a person has been on a benefit for a period considered quote-unquote too long, they suggest a year, and time-limited benefits. And these are appalling. There are only 4 options the Welfare Working Group puts up to discourage semi-permanent use of the benefit system as they talk about it, which is a shameful description for what was once a proud country which committed itself to looking after the vulnerable. None of these are acceptable in a caring, compassionate and fair society. So this government, although we're supporting this bill, this government exhibits a double standard in its treatment of those in receipt of state social assistance. As shown by this bill, it treats those who receive assistance on account of their age or their incapacity due to military service with fairness and compassion. On the other hand, working age beneficiaries are victimised and harassed under this government's policies. And with that statement of the contradiction, Mr. Speaker, I'm going to finish this brilliant speech. But it is very important that you show your appreciation, because somebody has to stand up for the poor in this bloody parliament, and that's me. Kia ora.
Well,